Have you ever had a bird fly into your home, uninvited, almost surreal, fluttering through your kitchen, perching on a curtain rod, or beating its wings against a closed window, like it had something urgent to say? For some, it feels like a blessing. For others, it stirs unease. But what if I told you this moment wasn't just odd or random, it was meaningful? What if it was less about the bird and more about the message your home was already sending? Because here's what most people never realize until it's too late. A bird doesn't just enter space, it enters energy. And energy in Feng Shui is never quiet. It's always humming, speaking, waiting to be heard. So when a living creature suddenly crosses the threshold of your personal space, when nature itself slips between your walls, it's not just movement, it's feedback. It's the universe whispering, pay attention. If your home feels chaotic, stagnant, or emotionally off, that bird may not be the cause. It may be the confirmation. It's nature showing you something needs to change, and fast. This is where most people miss the moment. They chase the bird out in fear or ignore it entirely. But in doing so, they miss the deeper conversation that just began. Because Feng Shui doesn't treat birds as coincidences. It treats them as mirrors. When a bird flies in unexpectedly, it's reflecting something that's already shifting within your home. Something that might be stuck, something rising, or something you've unconsciously invited without realizing its cost. A bird entering your home could mean something beautiful is ready to unfold, or that you're unknowingly repelling harmony, abundance, or clarity. It all depends on how you respond. So when a bird enters your home, you need to ask, what energy did it fly into? Was it drawn by peace or chaos? Was it offering affirmation or alerting you to something misaligned? Because if you misread this signal, or worse, brush it off as meaningless, you might unknowingly welcome instability, missed opportunities, emotional unrest, even prolonged streaks of bad luck that seem to come from nowhere. But if you pause, tune in, and respond with intention, if you understand what the bird's arrival is trying to show you, then that single moment can become a turning point. A reset, a return to alignment in your home, your health, your fortune, and your clarity. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. And once you understand the signs, you'll never see your home or a simple bird the same way again. That's what this video is here to explore. Not fear-based interpretations, but grounded insight, real Feng Shui perspective, and gentle, practical ways you can recognize the signs, restore harmony, and move forward in a way that honors both your space and your spirit. Because here at New Day Mindfulness, we believe that energy is the most overlooked language in your home. And once you learn to speak it, that everything changes. The truth is, when a bird enters your home, it's never just about the bird. It's about your doorway, your energy, your readiness, and the quiet parts of your life that may be asking to shift, whether you're aware of them yet or not. If your space has felt off lately, if you've been experiencing restless sleep, missed luck, or emotional clutter, this is the moment to pay attention. That bird might be your first nudge toward a breakthrough. And if that resonates even a little with you, if you've ever felt like your home was trying to tell you something but you couldn't quite put it into words, then stay with me. Because this conversation might bring you the clarity you've been waiting for. Before we dive in deeper, I'd love your help. If this kind of content speaks to you, if you value this channel's mission of making Feng Shui accessible, healing, and emotionally grounded, please take just a second to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and hit that subscribe button. We're close to reaching 5,000 subscribers here at New Day Mindfulness, and every single gesture of support helps us continue creating content that goes beyond trend and touches the truth. If this video inspires you, please help me with one like, one share, and one subscribe so I can reach 5,000 followers and continue creating the content that supports your journey. I believe deeply that Feng Shui is not reserved for experts or temples. It belongs to anyone who's ready to live with more awareness, more intention, and more ease in their home. That's what we offer here. And your support allows us to keep offering it freely. So now, take a deep breath, look around your space, and ask yourself, what energy have I been living with lately? What might it be drawing in? Because sometimes the most unexpected visitor carries the most profound message. And if you're ready to listen, let's begin. When nature knocks, what calm birds reveal about your home's energy? Have you ever been in your kitchen on a quiet morning, the sunlight spilling gently across your countertop, windows open to the breeze, when suddenly a bird, a small, calm, deliberate visitor, lands inside your home? Not startled, not panicked, simply there, present, as if delivering a message it has carried across time and wind. Now imagine for a moment that this wasn't coincidence, that this wasn't just nature wandering into your routine, but a response, an echo from the universe itself telling you in its own soft way that your space is in flow, that the energy you have cultivated is resonating beyond walls, that what you've been doing, adjusting, clearing, nurturing, is working. This isn't fantasy, it's Feng Shui in its most intuitive form. And today we're going to talk about the visitors that confirm it. In Feng Shui, birds are not simply part of the scenery. They are spiritual messengers, symbols of movement, opportunity, connection between heaven and earth. But more importantly, they are energetic readers. They go where the air is light, where the qi is strong, where space feels like invitation, not resistance. In other words, birds don't just enter any home. They visit homes that are aligned. Now let's break this down, not in abstraction, but in energy language that makes sense. When a swallow glides into your space, floats through and out without flinching, it's not just showing beauty, it's reflecting your inner atmosphere. A swallow is one of the most sensitive birds to energetic noise. If it flies in and stays calm, that's a sign of a space free from hostility, from conflict, from sharp key. It means the people inside are at some level in rhythm, in harmony. You might not see it from the outside, but the energy knows. The swallow knows. A sparrow is different. Sparrows are builders. They nest where they sense protection. If a sparrow builds its nest near your front door or window ledge, especially near the southeast or east sectors of your home, it's not just constructing a shelter. It's responding to the long-term stability of your space. Feng Shui sees this as one of the most powerful confirmations of enduring luck. Not lottery ticket luck, but lineage luck. A sign that the foundations you've laid will protect not just you, but generations ahead. This isn't metaphor, it's energetic architecture. And then there's the magpie. In many East Asian traditions, a magpie landing on your balcony or calling from a nearby branch is considered a harbinger of joy. Not because of its feathers or its flight, but because of its behavior. When a magpie perches and chirps playfully, almost as if in conversation, it reflects incoming good news. Not vague optimism, but the kind that shows up in the form of a helpful person, a sudden opportunity, a long-awaited yes. In Feng Shui, magpies are associated with helpful people, noble mentors, unexpected allies, benefactors who arrive just when you need them most. If you hear a magpie calling in a moment of uncertainty, pause, listen, because the message may not be in words, but it's being delivered all the same. But let's go deeper, because here's what I've learned after guiding hundreds of families through energy work, home consultations, and spiritual alignment across the world. It's not just the bird, it's not just the species, it's the clarity of your space. Birds don't visit clutter, they don't nest in tension. They don't land in homes where arguments sit heavy in the walls. If these winged visitors are arriving in your space, they are responding to something you've cultivated, maybe without even knowing it. They're responding to stillness, to intention. Even if you've made mistakes, even if you feel behind, even if you're still figuring things out, if a bird arrives calmly, you're doing something right. That visit is a pat on the back from the universe. Now let me give you a softer example. During the filming of one of her more emotionally demanding projects, actress Emma Watson mentioned in an interview that she found herself struggling with creative block, mental fatigue, and a sense of inner misalignment. Then, one morning, a pair of swallows appeared outside her trailer, nesting near her window. She said she felt an inexplicable wave of calm, a sense of being watched over, protected, inspired. That week, her energy shifted, her performance shifted, her creativity surged. Coincidence? Maybe. But in Feng Shui, we wouldn't call that random. We'd call it alignment revealing itself. I've seen this pattern in countless homes. A woman in Kyoto whose chronic migraines faded after she cleared her east sector and a robin began visiting her kitchen window every morning. A couple in Barcelona who had been trying to conceive for 3 years, and after repositioning their bed and softening the lighting in their southwest corner, found a dove nesting in their terrace plants. 2 months later, they conceived. These are not anecdotes of superstition. These are stories of space responding to spirit. So how do you invite these visitors in? It's not about buying bird feeders or forcing signs. It's about tuning your space. Begin by asking yourself, where in my home does the air feel heavy? Which corners do I avoid? Which drawers hold items from a version of me I no longer recognize? Start there. The moment you clear that, even in small steps, you make space, not just for birds, but for flow, for ease, for synchronicity. In Feng Shui, we call this preparing the qi to move freely. When qi flows, life responds. Don't focus only on decluttering. Focus on clearing noise. Energetic noise shows up in the form of old arguments stored in wall paint, unresolved grief woven into upholstery, regrets hiding in unopened boxes. You may not see these things, but birds do. Energy does. Your goal isn't perfection, it's presence. Want a practical exercise? Open your windows in the morning, not just for air, but as a signal. Sit quietly with a bowl of clean water near you. Light incense or sandalwood candle. Hold a short intention, not a demand, but an invitation. Say aloud or silently, I welcome harmony, I welcome joy, I welcome reminders that I am aligned. Then listen, watch. You may not receive a visitor right away, but you'll feel the shift. And when a visitor does come, when a swallow glides by, when a sparrow perches, when a magpie calls, pause. Acknowledge it. That's your space reflecting back the care you've put into it. It's not performance, it's resonance. Let me share one more perspective that's often overlooked. Children and elders are especially attuned to these signs. In many Feng Shui families, the arrival of a bird sparks storytelling, laughter, memory. A grandmother in Taiwan once told me she knew her granddaughter's soul had entered their family field the moment a pair of swans circled their home, months before the baby was conceived. She began preparing the room, buying toys. Her daughter thought it was wishful thinking until the pregnancy came. That baby is now 11. They named her after the moon. So if you see a bird and your child gasps with wonder or your grandparent quietly nods, pay attention. They may feel what you cannot see yet. Remember this, birds are not messengers of superstition. They are confirmations of flow. They come when your space is ready, when you are ready, when your energy hums in tune with something bigger than to-do lists and noise. They come when your home becomes not just shelter, but sanctuary. So next time a feathered visitor arrives, ask not just, Why is it here? But what is it reflecting back to me? Because in Feng Shui, the home speaks. And sometimes it speaks through wings. Birds that don't just visit, they warn when your home is crying out for help. Have you ever been sitting in your living room or just waking up in the quiet of morning when suddenly, without warning, you hear it? The sound of frantic wings flapping against your window, the sharp cry of a bird circling your home, or worse, a body, feathered and still, found inside your house. Maybe you brushed it off. Maybe you opened the window, let it out, and said nothing. Maybe you lit a candle and forgot. But what if I told you that wasn't a random event? That in the invisible language of energy, that bird was delivering a message your home has been trying to whisper to you for months. That moment wasn't a glitch in the day. It was the mirror turning toward you. In Feng Shui, these experiences are powerful signs that something within your space has become energetically misaligned. And just like our ancestors watched the skies for omens, today we must learn to read the signs around us, not with fear, but with clarity and humility. Because every misaligned home tells a story, and every bird that comes screaming at your windows may be trying to help you hear it. Let's take this slowly. First, understand that not all birds are messengers of peace. In the previous section, we talked about how gentle, calm birds like swallows or sparrows signify harmony, luck, and the flourishing of space. But what about when the birds don't behave that way? When they don't nest, don't sing, don't rest, but instead flap, panic, screech, or die? In Feng Shui, this is not coincidence, it is communication. And it's almost always about what's been buried, avoided, or neglected. Energy that has been ignored begins to stagnate. And that stagnation, whether emotional, physical, or spiritual, will always find a way to surface. Sometimes it arrives on wings. Take crows, for instance. Western culture has conditioned us to fear them as omens of death, chaos, or ill will. But Feng Shui sees them differently. Yes, they are dark. Yes, their cries can be piercing. But that's because they mirror the shadows we often refuse to face. If a crow lingers outside your home, especially near windows or entranceways, it may be reflecting grief that has not been processed, anger that has been simmering beneath the surface, or burnout that has become chronic. These birds aren't telling you doom is coming. They're telling you something already within your space is begging to be healed. They ask, what has been lost? What have you been holding in? What room in your house still carries the argument you never resolved? Owls, meanwhile, are often misunderstood. While beautiful, they carry a specific energetic weight. Their appearance near entryways or their calls at night, especially between 1 and 4 a.m., are powerful indicators that boundaries have weakened in your space. Feng Shui interprets these nocturnal visits as reminders that your energy is leaking through overwork, through emotional depletion, through constantly being on for others without recovering for yourself. The owl doesn't scream, it watches, it waits. And in that stillness, it's asking, what parts of your life have you closed the door on, yet left unlocked? Are your emotional and physical resources being drained bit by bit? That replenishment. Now let's address the hardest sign of all, the bird that dies inside your home. In all my years of working with energy, there is no more sobering moment than when a creature enters the space and doesn't leave alive. In Western logic, we might explain it away. A chimney flue left open, a window not seen. But in Feng Shui, this is more than a tragic mishap. It is the loudest form of energetic alert. A death within your space, especially a sudden, unexplainable one, demands pause. Not panic, but pause. It is not an omen. It is an offering, a reminder that something must be cleansed, that the air must be cleared, that your home is holding on to what no longer serves you, and now that energy has reached a peak. When this happens, don't run, don't scream, Don't look away. Approach with reverence. Clean the area gently. Light incense, not to ward off evil, but to honor the life that was lost and the message that was delivered. Then sit quietly. Ask yourself, what has died symbolically in my life that I have not yet grieved? A dream, a version of myself, a relationship, a belief? This is not superstition. This is restoration. And here's where many get it wrong. When faced with these energetic disruptions, most people react with fear or disgust. They chase the bird out in a frenzy, yell, or worse, try to erase the event entirely. But in energy work, your response shapes your reality. If you meet chaos with care, you anchor that state into your environment. If you meet it with presence, with breath, with awareness, you shift the vibration. You cleanse not just the moment, but the pattern. Because the truth is, these birds are not there to scare you. They're there to warn you. And how you respond tells the universe whether you're ready to shift or what coming to some. Yes. Or whether you'll need the lesson repeated. I'll never forget a client I once worked with, a Wall Street executive whose Manhattan penthouse was featured in design magazines. Immaculate, sleek, monochrome perfection. But the energy? Cold, tight, ungrounded. She had called me in not for birds, but for sleep issues and persistent tension. But during our consultation, I noticed something peculiar. On her balcony were droppings from blackbirds. She admitted they had been showing up for months, perching near her office, often screeching late into the evening. She thought nothing of it. Just city noise, she said. But I knew better. That home wasn't just physically cold, it was emotionally severed. Her workspace was positioned in the center of the home, but it was surrounded by sharp edges, hard metals, and no element of softness or life. She had built a fortress of productivity, but at the cost of nourishment. We began with 3 small shifts. We placed a peace lily at the center of the home, a symbol of forgiveness and softness. We introduced warm yellow tones in her workspace, color to signal hope and openness. We rounded the sharp corners with fabric and curvature. Edges no longer cut, they held. Within a month, she stopped hearing the birds. Within 3, she began sleeping. Within 6, she landed 2 major clients, not through effort, but through flow. The birds had stopped warning her because she had begun listening. So how can you begin to read these signs yourself? First, stop assuming that misaligned energy always looks messy. Sometimes the most visually perfect homes hold the most stagnant chi. Walk your space, not as a designer, but as an energetic witness. Where do you feel a drop in temperature? Where do you suddenly feel sad, angry, or numb? These are your internal birds. Feel them. Second, pay attention to patterns. Does a certain bird show up every week? Does it arrive after conflict? During moments of decision? Feng Shui teaches us that repetition is revelation. What repeats, reveals. If the same bird appears again and again, it's not visiting, it's delivering. Third, learn to cleanse with reverence, not out of superstition, but out of hygiene, energy hygiene. This could mean burning dried orange peel or mugwort. It could mean clearing clutter in the direction the bird came from. It could mean simply opening windows and saying aloud, "Whatever energy is no longer aligned with peace and growth, I release it now." Fourth, and this may be the most important, don't isolate the message. If you've had a disturbing bird visit, don't fixate only on that event. Ask, what else has felt off lately? What dreams have I dismissed? What part of my home feels like a museum to a past version of me? This is your opportunity to make aligned shifts, not from fear, but from presence. Because here's the truth that underlies all of Feng Shui. Your home speaks. Every object, every scent, every crack in the wall, or forgotten drawer is part of a conversation between your outer space and your inner world. When a bird arrives with distress, It's the voice of your home finally raised. Will you listen? And remember this, you are not being punished. You are being invited to cleanse, to align, to come back into relationship with your space. These moments, though unsettling, are sacred because they reveal what must be healed. And healing is never accidental, it's intentional. So next time a bird cries at your window or arrives with warning instead of blessing, don't panic. Breathe, watch, thank it. Then begin the work of restoring what has fallen out of rhythm. Because your home is more than walls, it's a mirror, and sometimes it calls you back to yourself on wings. When wings speak louder than species, the hidden feng shui of bird movement and color. Let's pause here and acknowledge something subtle but often overlooked. By now, we've explored how birds can act as both blessings and warnings. We've spoken about swallows bringing familial energy and crows reflecting emotional stagnation. But here's what most people miss, and it may be the most important insight yet. It's not just about what bird shows up. It's about how it behaves and what it carries with it. In the world of Feng Shui, a bird's movement and color communicate far more than its species. While the average person might fixate on identifying the type of bird, a true energy practitioner reads the gesture. Because energy is not static, it moves, and that motion is the mirror. Think about it this way. Two sparrows could visit two different homes. One flutters anxiously at a closed window, circling erratically, wings slapping against the glass as if it can't find its way out. The other glides through an open door, lands gently on a table, pauses, then leaves calmly. Same species, entirely different messages. One is reflecting unresolved energy, the kind that comes from tension, unfinished arguments, or spaces in the home where chi gets trapped and rattles. The other, a sign of openness, balance, timing aligned with intention. The difference is not in the bird, it's in the movement. And this is where we start sharpening our sensitivity to Feng Shui. Ask yourself, what is the movement telling me? A bird that flutters wildly isn't lost. It's mirroring your energy. Is there nervousness in your home? Are decisions being delayed? Has something been left unspoken for too long? These birds arrive when your energy is cycling without release. They don't come to bring chaos. They're revealing it. They're asking you to look at where in your own space or spirit you've been circling an issue without resolution. By contrast, when a bird glides in smoothly, looks around, and exits gently, it's offering affirmation. That kind of movement says the energy in your space is clear, boundaries are healthy, and the rhythm of your environment is in flow with the greater tides of life. In these moments, the bird becomes a visitor of grace, a nod from nature saying, you're exactly where you need to be. Now let's take this further. What if the bird brings something with it? A twig, a strand of string, a piece of fabric. Most people miss this detail, dismissing it as simple nesting behavior. But in Feng Shui, this is a profound act of symbolism. When a bird brings building material into your space, it's not just preparing a nest, it's signaling that you are in a cycle of construction or deconstruction. That moment isn't random, it's reflective. You may be in a season of growth, laying foundations for something new, a relationship, a career, a phase of healing, or you may be in the process of breaking down what no longer fits, shedding old identities, burning outdated roles, reclaiming your voice. The material they bring can be read, just like tarot or runes. A dry, brittle twig may speak to structures that are no longer strong. A fresh green stem could signal new beginnings. Even the direction the bird flies in from or out to can give clues about which life domain is involved. East could point to health or family, north to career, south to reputation. These details matter. Now let's address color. This is where Western eyes often overlook what Eastern traditions have long known. In Feng Shui, color is vibration. It isn't just decoration, it's communication. The color of a bird's feathers can amplify or clarify the message it brings. A dark feathered bird, deep gray, charcoal, or black, isn't an omen of fear. It's an invitation to go inward. These birds mirror hidden emotions, internal processes, grief that's still tender, or truths that haven't found words yet. When they appear, especially if they linger or look directly at you, the question to ask is not, what do they mean? But, what am I still hiding from myself? Bright-colored birds, those with yellow, red, or iridescent tones, bring light with them. Not because life is easy, but because clarity is emerging. Their presence is often felt after breakthroughs, personal wins, or moments of truth-telling. They affirm expression and expansion. When you see a bird like this behaving with calm or curiosity, take it as a visual cue that your own energy is brightening. It doesn't mean you're finished. It means you're in motion toward authenticity. Then there are the earth-tone birds, the ones dressed in browns, creams, warm grays. These messengers are gentle stabilizers. They don't come in times of major change or crisis. They come when you're steadying. They affirm that things are not chaotic, even if life feels uncertain. Their presence says, you are rooted, continue. You are not being asked to shift dramatically, only to maintain with care. What does this mean for your practice? It means that birds are not just to be admired, they are to be read. Nature doesn't waste its language, and when it speaks in feathers, in flight, in fluttering, it is asking us to listen, not with superstition, but with strategy. Think of each bird's appearance as a diagnostic tool for your home's key. Don't get stuck on what kind of bird is it. Instead, observe. How did it behave? What color was it? Did it linger, dart, scream, or glide? Did it bring anything with it? Where did it land? Where did it leave? These questions open your home's energetic report card, and the answers are always honest. Let me share an example. A family in Portland contacted me after noticing a series of strange visits from robins. Several times a week, the same bird would land on their porch railing, holding bits of straw. At first, they welcomed it, but after weeks, the family became unnerved. The bird never built a nest. It just arrived with the straw, looked inside the living room, then flew off. Energetically, this suggested something symbolic was trying to begin, but was being halted. Upon walking their space, I found a room they had designated as a future baby's nursery. It had been unused for over a year after a miscarriage. The energy was still raw. The couple hadn't spoken about their grief in months. The robin, bringing the material but never nesting, was mirroring that incomplete cycle. We didn't banish the bird. Instead, we cleared the room, honored the experience, and gently redesigned the space as a reading room. Within days, the robin stopped bringing straw, and the couple reported feeling peace when they entered the room again. That's the power of this work, not to control nature, but to align with its wisdom. And that alignment comes not from identification, but from interpretation. Now, how do you practice this at home? First, train your eyes to observe with softness, not analysis. When a bird visits, take a moment to breathe. Watch its movement without trying to label it. Was it urgent or calm? Did it look at you? Did it settle? Your body will often respond with a subtle reaction, a tightening, a release, a breath held or let go. That's your clue. Second, keep a bird journal, not as a science project, but as a record of patterns. Note the date, time, color, movement, and direction of arrival. Over time, these entries will reveal the rhythms of your home's energy more clearly than any sensor or gadget could. Third, let go of fear-based interpretations. A bird that flutters wildly is not cursing your home. It's signaling what you may be too distracted to notice. Receive it as an alert system, not of doom, but of depth. Fourth, bring in color and movement into your space intentionally. If your home feels flat or heavy, introduce wind chimes, not just for sound, but for motion. If things feel too frantic, use heavier fabrics, warmer tones, and grounded shapes to slow the chi. The birds outside are responding to the energy within. Change the energy, and the behavior will follow. Lastly, understand this. Your home is not separate from nature. It is part of the same system. When a bird arrives, it's not visiting your house. It's responding to your field, your emotional, spiritual, and energetic field. And that means you don't need to guess what's happening. Just observe what's being shown. When birds change, you've shifted something real. And that's a sign of progress no calendar or app can give you. Final, your home speaks. Are you listening? Sometimes the clearest messages don't come through words or thoughts. They come with wings. They fly in when we least expect them. They linger. They disturb. They reassure. And the question is never, why did this happen to me? But rather, what part of me called this in? Because nothing in your space is truly random. Not the fluttering bird, not the one that pauses, looks, and leaves, not even the one that perishes in silence. All of it is feedback. All of it is response. And when we begin to see it that way, we move from fear to insight. If a bird crashes into your window repeatedly, it's not bringing darkness, it's bringing your awareness to a blocked path, a truth trying to get out. If a vibrant feathered bird hovers, then flies off, maybe you're being nudged to trust that clarity is on its way. If a sparrow circles a closed door and doesn't enter, ask yourself, what opportunities are you not opening up to? This is what most people miss. They look for lucky symbols, magic answers, or signs of superstition. But Feng Shui, real Feng Shui, doesn't give you outcomes. It gives you mirrors. The anxious bird is not a problem. It's your energy moving restlessly, needing release. The nesting bird is not just a delight, it's a confirmation of safety, consistency, and warmth in your home. The dead bird is not a curse, it's a pause, a solemn whisper asking you to release the energy of loss, grief, or resistance still embedded in your space. And what's more important than identifying these messengers is understanding that how you respond creates the energy that lingers. Do you chase it out in fear or open a window with compassion? Do you ignore the discomfort or sit with it until it softens? Because your space doesn't just reflect you, it shapes you. And the birds, they are proof that the conversation is ongoing. At New Day Mindfulness, our mission has never been about selling incense, staging elaborate rituals, or dressing your house in cliches. It has always been this: to make Feng Shui practical, healing, emotionally grounded, to help you not only understand your home, but feel it, tend to it, trust it. We're not chasing trends, we're translating ancestral wisdom into real, tactile actions that allow you to feel more alive in your space and more at peace in your own skin. Let's not forget that in every section we've explored, from the birds that uplift to those that warn, from the behavior they reflect to the energy they respond to, each pattern pointed to the same core truth, that your home is a living system, and you are the pulse. You are not separate from its movement. You are the movement. So when things feel off, chaotic, heavy, or hollow, you don't need to overhaul your life. Sometimes you just need to notice, because what you ignore becomes the energy you live inside, and what you acknowledge becomes the energy you heal. And that's where most people make the same mistake. They dismiss the signs. They chase out the fluttering bird, complain about the noise, and miss the invitation to reflect. But you're here because you're different. You're not looking for superstition. You're looking for substance. You're not waiting for miracles. You're learning to read the ones already happening around you. So I'll leave you with this. If you can begin to listen differently, you'll begin to live differently. And the next time a bird appears in your life, don't ask what it means. Ask what it's revealing. And then respond, not with fear, but with grace. If this video opened even a small shift in how you see your space, your energy, or yourself, I invite you to take one meaningful action today. Maybe it's clearing a corner that's long been ignored. Maybe it's softening a sharp edge in a room that's held too much tension. Maybe it's simply writing down the last time a bird visited and asking yourself, what part of me was it speaking to? If this video inspired you, I invite you to share it with someone you care about. Leave a comment below. What was your most memorable bird encounter? What did it reveal? And if you haven't already, please subscribe to New Day Mindfulness. We are on our journey to reach 5,000 subscribers, and your support allows us to keep creating meaningful, grounded content. Content that doesn't hype, but helps. Because Feng Shui isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about listening more deeply. And sometimes the most powerful messengers don't come with words. They come with feathers. They come with movement. And they come when your home is ready for the next layer of truth.